In December 1977, the Lagos Stock Exchange was renamed the Nigerian Stock Exchange, servicing the second largest economy in Africa in championing the development of Africa's financial markets. The federal government abrogated the Exchange Control Act 1962 and the Nigerian Enterprises Promotion Decree 1989, effectively internationalizing the Nigerian capital market. My name is Peace Hyde, and this is my Worst Day on Forbes Africa TV. Regulated by the Securities and Exchange Commission of Nigeria, the exchange offers listing and trading services, licensing services, market data solutions, ancillary technology services, and much more. Its importance in capital markets in Africa cannot be overstated enough. And as the NSC continues to evolve in order to meet the needs of its valued customers, it's one man's job to connect Nigeria, Africa, and the world. Let's take a look at who he is. Oscar Onyema was born in Nigeria to the family of His Royal Majesty Eze VBC Onyema III on the 19th of August 1968. He holds an MBA in Finance and Investments from Baruch College, New York City. He is an alumni of Harvard Business School, having completed its Advanced Management program. Mr. Onyema was appointed the Chief Executive Officer of the Exchange, a member of the National Council in April 2011. Before this, he gained experience for over 20 years in both the United States financial markets and the Nigerian information technology sector. He is the chairman of Central Securities Clearing Systems plc, the clearinghouse for the Nigerian capital market, council member of the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria, president of the African Securities Exchange Association, and Global Agenda Council member of the World Economic Forum. He served as a senior vice president and chief administrative officer at the American Stock Exchange, which he joined in 2001. He was the first person of color to hold that position and was instrumental in integrating the Amex equity business into the New York Stock Exchange, Euronext's equity business, after latter's acquisition of Amex in 2008. He then managed the NYSE Amex equity trading business, which he helped position as a premier market for small and mid-cap securities. In 2014, Onyema was made the Officer of the Order of the Niger in recognition of his contribution to the economic development, the transformation of the Nigerian Stock Exchange and the Nigerian capital markets. The Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry in January 2015 awarded Mr. Onyema Most Innovative CEO of the Year 2014 in recognition of his tremendous role in the development of the Nigerian capital market. Thank you for joining me on my worst day, and today we're joined by Oscar Onyema, the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much.
Now, I'm sure that everyone knows who you are, but for those who do not know the man behind that powerhouse persona, please, who is Mr. Oscar Onyema?
Well, I'm a very easygoing guy. I like a lot of outdoor activities, such as running outdoors, the beach, skiing. Once in a while, when I get the opportunity, I even would play golf. So you can think of me as just the average Joe down the block.
Right. Well, in a not very average Joe position. Now, you've had a very interesting career path, serving as the first person of color to hold the position of Chief Administrative Officer and Senior Vice President of Amex. Talk to me about your journey to that position and how that managed to shape your career.
Okay, so my career actually started in Nigeria, right after my youth corps, when I worked with DPMS, which is Data Processing, Maintenance and Services. It's an IBM business partner. And we sold IBM mid-range systems. That was what I did. Even though I had an engineering background and I had worked as an engineer for 1 year with the firm, I felt that dealing with customers and addressing customers from a sales perspective was where my calling was. So after doing that for about 3 years, going into the 4th year, I felt it was time to go back to school and get my MBA. And I'd always wanted to be on Wall Street, so going back to the US and getting that degree was what I did. And then that opened up opportunities on Wall Street. I started out at the New York Mercantile Exchange, which is the largest oil futures exchange in the world. It's now part of the Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group. At the time, I was doing business strategy and product development for them. And one of the things that I did was to introduce the specialist system of trading for new contracts on the exchange. So they were trying to compete with the London Metals Exchange, and they wanted to introduce aluminum contracts, futures contracts. So in the process of setting up the specialist system, we went to several exchanges, including the American Stock Exchange. And I guess they must have liked me because they came a few months afterwards to engage me to see if I would be interested in working for them. So that started the journey with the American Stock Exchange.
The NSE has undergone a number of challenges leading up to your appointment as Chief Executive Officer. In what is now your 2nd term of appointment, how has the markets developed over the past 5 years, and what has been your biggest achievement thus far?
The market has really made significant improvements if you looked at it from various metrics. From a product perspective, we've gone away from being a mono-product exchange to an exchange that offers 3 products, both listing and trading currently, equities, fixed income, and exchange-traded funds. We've also gone away from an exchange that, although we had systems, at the time we started, you needed to come with diskettes to the trading floor, so you needed a trading floor. To an exchange that is fully electronic, you can access us from anywhere. There's straight-through processing, and we've opened up accessibility by introduction of new technologies with standardization around the fixed protocol, which has greatly enhanced the experience in terms of a trading perspective with the exchange, and allowed us to have the capabilities to increase throughput significantly.
Now, you've had quite a long journey to where you are today. What would you say is your worst day in your career so far?
Yeah, that's a very challenging question. And the reason being that my career has been very international, and it spanned over 25 years. And in those 25 years, we've had various challenges. From 9/11, when I was on my desk at Trinity Place, 1 block away from the World Trade Center,
Yes.
when it happened, and I thought I wouldn't make it through, to our most volatile trading day here at the exchange, where we were really under significant pressure to close the market. But we felt that we needed to leave the market open to allow for real interest of investors to be reflected in the market.
You mentioned 2 key worst days, but what was the major, the day you thought this is all over in your career?
Well, I think that in the context of my being CEO of the stock exchange, it's got to be 10th of January 2012, when the Occupy Nigeria movement decided they were going to storm the exchange during the strike process.
Right.
Yeah. Because we were running skeletal operations, even though the trading floor wasn't, we didn't have traders in the building. We had remote trading going on.
But the expectation was the whole building should
be shut down. Correct. We had about 30 connections at the time. This was before we rolled out our next generation trading platform, which today has about 157 connections, just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with. So significant activity had gone down, but there was still skeletal activity. People could still access the market.
So you've just found out that they're about to storm your building. You're in your office. What is going through your mind? Are you thinking that I'm dead, or were you prepared? What was going through your mind?
So I wasn't prepared. I just relocated to Nigeria in 2011. Okay. I did not know what to expect. And I was thinking, wow, so I have this responsibility to safeguard my staff, to safeguard our assets, and to safeguard markets, the market as it was on that day. So I thought, wow, okay, so what's going to happen? Also my own personal safety. So luckily we were able to diffuse the situation by engaging them to say, look, the traders are not here, the trading floor is not working, our staff are not here, we only have skeletal operations going on. But unfortunately, we would not be able to let you into the building. Okay. Common sense prevailed. They took us for our words, and they decided to pull
Did
back.
any violence break out? Was
no,
there any
there was
points?
no violence. There was no violence, and so that was a very tense moment for us. The 10th of January, 11th of January. The government had started really engaging with them to see what could be done to reduce the impact and introduce some level of subsidy, but not going back to 65 naira per liter that it was before the decision to remove the subsidy. So we're able to continue with our remote operations. And so throughout that period, the market did not close. We were able to put out information and all of that, but the trading floors were not operational. Yeah.
Did you have anyone threaten, look, we're going to break down the doors, we're going to come in, we're going to find out ourselves? Well, no, or was it all quite a calm, civil?
Yeah, I mean, they threatened to do that, but with all the persuasion and the rest of it, they calmed down and they left.
When those events happened, I know you said you recently had moved back to Nigeria. Were you questioning, maybe I'd bitten off more than I could chew? Did you doubt your abilities at any point in time during that series of events?
In moving back to Nigeria, one of my major concerns was security.
Yes.
And so, to your point, I was like, okay, is this it? Did I bite off more than I can chew? Because you can never tell what will happen in a crowd mob action situation. We, knock on wood, were very, very lucky that people were very reasonable and were able to say, okay, they will walk away.
So let me take you back 10 years earlier, where you were in the United States, just a block away from the scene of the 9/11. Talk to me about your experience on that day.
That day, I was at my office at the American Stock Exchange on my desk, already working. We are at Trinity Place, which is one block away from the World Trade Center. So when the first plane hit, our building shook and the lights flickered, and we're wondering what was going on. And we all went to see what was going on TV. Turned out that a plane had hit the World Trade Center. And we're still trying to figure out what happened when the second plane hit. And so we realized that it wasn't an accident. HR was like, everybody should evacuate downstairs, but we shouldn't leave the building.
Right.
So we all ran downstairs, still trying to figure out what was going on.
Was this before the second plane?
This was after the second plane.
After the second plane, right.
We thought we were under attack, so we thought it was fighter planes. Because at the time the second plane hit, we had lost communication. So TV wasn't on anymore. The phones were not working. When the first building came down, you see, I will never forget that sound. It was a rumbling sound. And we didn't know the building was coming down. We thought it was fighter planes that were attacking us. And so the debris, there was this ball of debris just coming down the street. You couldn't leave the building. And so we're inside the building. It was all dark. You couldn't breathe. We went into the basement to the computer room. Because that was the cleanest, that was where you could get the cleanest air. And so we're there until, this whole ordeal started from 8 in the morning to around 1 p.m. So we were there until 1 p.m. when the firefighters came to get us. And they gave us wet handkerchiefs to cover our face. When a single file, everybody bent down, and we just filed out of the, it was dark, you couldn't see. We filed out of the building. And outside the building, you looked up, the sky wasn't there, it was all black, debris. And we marched to Pier 11, which is on the water, and we took the ferry across to the Jersey side of the Hudson River. So they had a triage center there to treat people that
with all of this
injured.
Going on, I mean, 8 to 1 is a very long time. What was going through your mind?
Yes. No, we thought we were going to die actually, because
Right.
people were writing their will and stuff because you couldn't communicate.
Right, yes.
We did not know when we could leave the building. We were running short of air, good quality air to breathe. So those were very tense moments for us. Yeah.
So when you think of that challenge, also what you've experienced when you did relocate to Nigeria, how has that helped arm you as a businessman to actually deal with challenges?
Challenges will always come. And so it is how you respond to them that will determine subsequently your success or lack thereof. And so we've tried as much as possible to anticipate all kinds of challenges and to think clearly, way ahead of time, what our response would be, so that when challenges happen, we almost go into automatic mode. So risk management is something we take very seriously here at the exchange. And we've tried to come up with various scenarios. We do disaster testing, we do all kinds of testing, both at the exchange and with the industry, just to make sure that response is one that is clearly thought out, is one that will give us an opportunity to survive whatever the challenge is and to come out on the other side looking good.
Now, a lot of people actually don't go through life and go through an experience where they're not sure if they're actually going to make it or overcome it. What did you learn from that experience when you saw basically death in the eye?
The thing that goes through your mind when you have those experiences really is, I should have done ABC, I should have done this, I should have done that, and so I think the most important thing is not to have that type of mindset. So if there's anything you want to do, do it, and do it now, and not be in a position where you're regretting any moment of life. Life is, for me, is really it's really a conglomerate, if you will, of experiences. And so we're making experience every moment of life. And so the idea is to enjoy the experience and live in the moment, such that you will not be regretting when you're looking back. I think that, for me, has been a major takeaway. The second major takeaway is one of leadership. In moments of crisis, I find that people are looking for leadership. Leadership that will take them, that will allow them to see them through the crisis, and allow them to come out best positioned to accelerate their improvement as well. So very firm thought leadership, very firm action-oriented leadership is one that I find is very critical in moments of crisis. I should point out that, for me, leadership without followership is not leadership. And so leadership is really the ability to get people to do things because they bought into the idea that those things you want them to do are the right things to do, and they are excited to do it. So it's not forcing people to do things. It is sharing an idea that people buy into and are willing to follow you in the execution of the idea.
Right. And when you look back on the worst day that you've had as a CEO of the NSE, is there anything that you would have done differently that day?
I think that one thing we could have done differently is to put out preemptive information out there that, yes, we recorded transactions for the day, but it's really remote. So if you come to our building, there's really no activity. It's all computers talking to computers. And that perhaps could have prevented the need to even match on the exchange in the first place.
There's a lot of young people out there that would be a dream for them to follow in your footsteps. What advice would you give them?
For me, I would say that there's no shortcut to success. It's a lot of hard work, a lot of sacrifices. They must be very clear in their minds what they want to achieve, and then go at it with tunnel vision. No distractions, focus, no matter what it is, if you want to be the best in it, you can be the best in it. You just have to do the sacrifices. There's no shortcut to true success.
That is some amazing advice, and thank you for sharing your worst days with us. It's truly, truly shocking. You've heard from the man himself about what it takes to really get to the top of your game. But let's find out what some of his closest colleagues had to say about this illustrious businessman.
My name is Ade Bajomo. I'm the Executive Director for Market Operations and Technology of the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
My name is Bola Adieko. I head up the Corporate Services Division at the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
My name is Oscar Onyema, and I'm the Senior Strategy Analyst working with the Strategy Department here at the NSE.
Mr. Onyema has several fantastic qualities.
One being a visionary.
Oscar Onyema is a visionary leader. We all buy into his vision here at the exchange, and he operates an authentic leadership style.
Another one would be one of someone that's very driven and focused.
He is a very, very committed leader. When I talk about commitment, I'm talking about making sure that the work gets done. The work just doesn't get done, but it gets done to the highest level of quality.
One of the things I respect the most about him is that he demands of all of us the same standards he demands of himself.
He's a highly conscientious leader in the sense that what you will find in terms of what Mr. Onyema demands of people around him and of himself.
And so about 5 years ago, when the journey here at the exchange started, one of the first things that he laid out was the roadmap for how to turn things around. And so that focus and that discipline to ensure that not just himself, but I think the organization that he leads continue to keep the eye on the ball.
The same way he drives performance and value in the Nigerian capital market is the same way he takes that to trying to build and develop, a robust capital market for Africa as well.
Starting a business is tough. It is even tougher when you're looking at creating a business that operates at an international level. Winston Churchill once said, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is courage to continue that counts." How will you handle your worst day when it comes? My name is Peace Hyde, and this is my worst day on Forbes Africa TV.